Mystery and action are probably two genres that seem to work so seamlessly with one another. So for today, we'll be talking about what I personally consider to be some of the most underappreciated of the mystery action genre that anime has to offer. Now, I've already done a video about mystery thrillers before, but I think a key difference this genre has is its more pronounced focus on actions. Fight scenes, chase scenes, and other heart-pounding scenes often take precedence, while a mystery, oftentimes something related to the origin of the world or the subject matter in question, hangs in the background. A lot of the most thrilling detective serials fall into this category, and it's no surprise that mystery and action together have found their way into anime. What's surprising to me, however, is that a sizable portion of viewers are still not subscribed to this channel. That's why I'd love to encourage you to hit that subscribe and like button and help my channel grow. It only takes a second and would do so much for the channel. Ninth on the list is Blast of Tempest. Losing a loved one is never easy. When Aika, Yoshino's girlfriend, dies, her brother and Yoshino's best friend Mahiro disappears. The latter would disappear and only re-emerge to save Yoshino from a strange girl who has him at gunpoint. Mahiro has returned a changed man, having enlisted the help of the witch Hakaze to find Aika's killer and deal with the Tree of Exodus, a gigantic tree that grants people magic and holds the key to the destruction of the world. A supernatural action series from late 2012, Blast of Tempest was probably one of my favorite Bones shows from that era. It keeps you seated and wanting more with its plot, and I really enjoyed the story due to having quite the passing interest in classic literature. Yes, Blast of Tempest is that it draws a lot from literary works, specifically The Tempest and Hamlet. Those plays tie in nicely with the show's themes that focus on escaping the chains of the past. Up next is a more apocalyptic take on the genre, Wolf's Rain. Wolf's Rain takes us to a world on the edge of ruin. Thanks to humanity's greed and pride, the once glorious home planet has been reduced to a handful of cities scattered across a barren wilderness. However, hope remains in the forms of an ancient prophecy that tells of wolves finding their way to the mystical realm known as Paradise. The problem is that no one has seen a wolf for ages. The truth is that wolves have learned to disguise themselves in the form of men, existing within society to protect themselves. Wolf's Rain tells us the story of one such wolf, Kiba, and his companions who set off on a journey to the promised land. However, danger lurks at every corner, as it's not just they who want to reach paradise. Coming from Cowboy Bebop screenwriter, Wolf's Rain is a gorgeous-looking adventure series that should really be talked about more. I guess the problem lies in the actual production itself here. That's because Wolf's Rain had a pretty troubled production thanks to an ongoing disease outbreak almost 2 decades ago. Guess history repeats itself, doesn't it, unfortunately? That's why you should take the time to watch the OVAs that conclude the story if this series interests you. Here's a Chinese anime for a change, and it's one of the most popular ones out there. Moldovsushi is one of the excellent Chinese novel adaptations that combine action and Asian mysticism. 13 years before the start of the story, Wei strayed down the path of evil and unleashed destruction. His reign of terror would be put to a stop, but he reincarnates in the present day and reunites with his former classmate Lang Wangji. The two then move to uncover the truth through a dark energy and a supernatural mystery that begins plaguing the numerous clans. Thanks to its intriguing plot and excellent art, the series received much critical acclaim. However, still so little talk about it. It certainly felt so underrated given the reception when it was first being released. If you happen to enjoy Moldovsushi, you can enjoy the story in its numerous other adaptations, such as the webcomic or the drama. Up next is Eden of the East, Careless Monday, a missile strike on Japan with miraculously no casualties. Everyone moved over it, and it seemed like a distant, irrelevant event for people, including Saki Morimi. What wasn't irrelevant, however, is her encounter with a naked amnesiac with a gun and a cell phone in the United States. Things will just get worse for Saki. She quickly finds herself embroiled in a death game involving money and the fate of the world. What will become of the duo and the battles against fellow phone-wielding individuals they now find themselves in? How how does this all connect to Careless Monday? You're gonna have to watch the show to find out. It's the second mystery action anime featuring death games and cell phones, and I think that Eden of the East, compared to Darwin's Game, leans more on the mystery side of things. With each episode, you get the urge to want more with every episode thanks to how the suspense gets built up. In its time, 2009, it's also very novel as an idea, and I think that it still holds true to a lesser extent now. Halfway into the list is Land of the Lustrous. In the future, crystalline life forms called gems inhabit a mysterious world where they must find the Lunarians, a species that kidnaps them and turns them into jewelry. Phos, one of the gems, longs to join the battle, but thanks to their condition is forcibly relegated into the furthest job from such a desire, a historian. Being assigned to compile the history of the world is a mundane and pointless task for a lot of them, but the new job sends Phos into contact with Cinnabar. Seeing the mutual unhappiness in Cinnabar, Phos decides to help the fellow gem find a role for them to enjoy. What adventures await the duo? Land of the Lustrous for me shines in its handling of its world. It's set in a very fantastical world with very interesting residents that you can't help but want to know about. It's got some action blended into the very meaningful plot, and despite lacking initial hype, it's one of the best mystery action anime out there. Seriously, people need to appreciate this one a lot more. At number 4 is Glipner.
僕の体はなぜかいつの間にかこの匂い中に人が
If you're still up for more death games, how about another one? Spring 2020 sleeper hit Glipner. Shuichi may seem to be your ordinary student, but he just gets the ability to turn into a fursuit monster. He doesn't know how he got the powers, nor does he want anything to do with them. However, an encounter with Claire exposes his secret and lets him know Claire's secret of her own. Claire's been long looking for her sister, who also turned into a monster. Together, the two form an unlikely duo out to search for the truth behind monsters, Claire's sister, and the Shuichi's powers. Aliens, otherworldly abominations, transforming people, everything goes in this grim and deadly mystery. For a lot of you who haven't watched the anime, your exposure to Glipner probably came from videos talking about its amazingly animated fight scenes. However, if you go beyond the fights, I think that the plot is very intriguing, and seeing the character dynamics in play make Glipner a winner in my book. It may seem like an edge fest, but it's actually a lot more profound than it seems to be at first. Watch it.
いい写真が撮れた。変身した方がイケメンね。
アジンだよ。本当にいたなんて。
Third place for the list is Arjun. 17 years prior, mysterious humans known as Arjun made their presence felt in Africa. Since then, they've been classified as a top-level threat, and the world has mobilized to eradicate them or take them into custody. The world has been kept free of them, to the point where aspiring doctor Kei Nagai knew little of them when he survives an accident and is reborn as one of them. Now, with a target on his back, Kei finds himself on the run as he looks to uncover the truth behind these super creatures, slowly realizing that maybe the real monsters aren't as far away from humanity as he once thought. I've made it clear in some of my previous videos that when it comes to action-packed thrillers that have an air of mystery, Arjun is one of my favorite anime of all time. The CG might take a bit of time to get used to, but don't be deterred by that. After all, you'd be missing out on one of 2016's hits that skillfully combined action, suspense, unraveling twists, and a rather profound take on humanity's nature. Who says that we're done with literature references? Blast of Tempest had some callbacks to a literary work, but how about an entire series focused on actual authors of your favorite literary masterpieces? Oh, and give them cool powers to boot. Due to incidents involving a tiger, Atsushi finds himself kicked out of his orphanage and left a vagabond in the streets of Japan. His seemingly mundane life comes to an end when he saves supernatural detective Osamu Dazai from drowning. The detective's investigation on the tiger puts Atsushi in quite the bind, and the latter finds himself forcibly pulled into the world of supernatural investigations and battles. Combining the aesthetics of the early 1900s with the modern Japan setting ended up being a good call, and I found myself thoroughly immersed in the story thanks to the cool developments and the powers. I'm not sure if I really consider Bungo Stray Dogs to be underappreciated because it does have a fan base. However, for how great it is, I thought that this would have been the next big thing. So if you're up for some urban action fantasy, I heartily recommend this show to you. The number one underappreciated mystery action anime for this list is Garden of Sinners. Have you heard of this one before? Constantly a Type Moon fan favorite, Garden of Sinners is a series of movies chronicling a string of baffling suicides in Japan. To investigate the events, a detective agency dispatches the dynamic duo of Mikiya Kokuto and Shiki Ryogi. A contrasting duo of a normal boy and girl wielding the mystic eyes of death, they have their work cut out for them. Watch as the two of them work to get to the bottom of the mysterious suicides that have ravaged the country. Garden of Sinners prides itself in its unorthodox watch order and the numerous layers that can be peeled from its story. It could be a standard paranormal investigation story, but it could also be interpreted as people coming to terms with life and death. It's not an easy watch, being dark and twisted a lot of times, but in terms of considering anime as a profound piece of philosophy and art, Garden of Sinners is probably one of the best bets to support this point. For fans of the mystery action genre, these are the shows you may have missed and may want to keep an eye out for. For those who've already watched the shows, which ones are your favorites? Please don't hesitate to tell me. Also, if you've had fun with the video, I'd like you to also check out my Patreon. I'll be leaving a link in the description box below and you can follow the link and start supporting this channel. Your help would really be appreciated. So what's next for ViniiTube? You better hit that subscribe button so that you can be the first in line whenever I upload a new video. What I can guarantee is that I'll keep giving you these anime recommendations, and I hope that you'll enjoy the next video as much as the previous ones. Till next time.